Hi there, it's Sarah from Inspire Tarot. Welcome to the channel. See what message Spirit has for us today. Probably the same message that he has for us every day. Forgive and don't judge. Feel your feelings, be gentle with yourself. Rinse and repeat. The Hierophant. So the Hierophant is like a spiritual teacher or wise counsel. Often this card is thought of in the upright as being more associated with like traditional religions, and then in reverse more to do with a more individualized or a spiritual path based on, rather it being attached to an establishment outside of you. It's all to do with your inner world and your inner guidance and your inner values and what's right for you, what resonates for you. So yeah, the Hierophant on this path looks very happy, very relaxed on his ladder back to heaven. So I'm presuming that he's found non-dual teachings, otherwise he probably wouldn't be that happy. And yeah, non-dual teachings are great because they take away the fragmentation. They take us back to oneness, which solves all problems. Because when you only have one and it's indivisible, there are no problems. And this is one of the nicest things about the spiritual path, is that once we find our way back to unity, or understand how to get to unity in the mind, then there really is nothing else other than to convince ourselves over and over and over that this is the case, this is the only thing. And as we let go of our concepts and things in the mind, then we do start to experience the world more as it truly would be if we saw it as completely innocent and pure. So yeah, we too can be sat in the lotus position with a big smile on our face. Often though on the spiritual journey we're not smiling. The ego does not like being undone. Could be a painful process. Yeah, Temperance is all about balance. So we can get too carried away with our spiritual journey that we kind of get lost in our head, or we just try to maybe oversimplify it too much. Maybe we gaslight ourselves spiritually by just thinking that the world is an illusion and we don't have to worry about anything. But the way I see it is, if something upsets you and you say to yourself in your mind it's just an illusion, and it immediately solves the problem and makes you feel calm again, that's great. But if it doesn't work that way and you still feel as if you have painful feelings or something coming up, then it does need to be looked at with the spirit. And the Temperance card means to temper. You can see the guy in this card is balancing the sun and the moon, or the light and the dark. We do need to find balance, and we need to bring more light into the darkness. This guy also has little angel wings as well, so we do need to bring this divine guidance in to help us. And we can't progress too quickly on our spiritual path, otherwise we'll just feel like we're going insane. The process of awakening is to go insane in the eyes of the world, but really it's the other way around. In the world we're insane, and to wake up we need to become sane again. But because the thinking of the world is backside upside down and back to front, it's just a complicated journey, and without the spirit it wouldn't be easy to navigate at all. So we have, I'm not going to do reversals because I haven't learnt them yet. The Hanged Man, the Four of Wands. The Hanged Man card is all about surrendering, and as I've just been talking about having a different perspective, we need a completely upside down perspective, and that's what the Hanged Man gives us. It's symbolic of flipping our mind upside down, surrendering and slowing down, and trusting that the light will come to us. You know, the light is shining on this, what looks like a pool of water, and this individual is just suspended with nothing else to think about other than what's going on in the mind, and just allowing the world to deliver whatever it is that we need, because the Spirit will do that. Always. We're always given what we need. Just because we're not aware of it doesn't mean that it's not true that we're not being given what we need, because we always are. And the Four of Wands card is all about collaboration, and creating that oneness, maybe through a retreat or a social gathering. Whenever we're feeling on our spiritual journey, it can be very tempting to spend too much time in the hermit phase, particularly in the early stages. We kind of learn about all this stuff and we get so hungry for the information that we just want to shut the door behind us and guzzle information on the internet. But then we start to notice that we feel a bit myopic and we need to get back out there, and spend time with other people who are on the same path. And quite often you might find that this is completely different people, because we all go through spiritual awakening at very different times than our normal friends, particularly if we're like starseeds or people who have come here to help humanity, or to specifically awaken, people who were truth seekers from birth. So yeah, we will be put into a community environment, or given some sort of group or people of a like mind to work with, and we can celebrate our wins and being able to speak openly and things like that within this community. You can see in this card the people are celebrating and looking very happy and free, which is essentially what happens to us as we progress down this path. The Chariot. So we can see in this card there's a white horse and a black horse, and a guy in a chariot moving forward. So this card very much signifies that we need to move forward in a balanced way. This card talks about a force of nature, and that we need to be overcoming obstacles. It looks very much in this card as though this horse and cart is just going to take off, essentially. It barely looks as if it's even on solid ground. And that's very much the way our spiritual path can seem once we give our mind over to the Spirit and allow to be shown. Then, we're often taken on a completely new path, which can be very surprising to us, but it's just fun. It can seem terrifying, but it's also fun. Okay, so we're going to have some conflict coming in. The Five of Wands is a card about conflict and competition and resistance, often to do with a power struggle, can be to do with other people. In fact, that's usually what happens when we start our spiritual path. It's because we have so much conflict with the external world and with other people that we just we have to find a way to address the things that cause us problems. And then we come across A Course in Miracles or another non-dual teaching, and it explains to us how to get out of this conflict that we all kind of go about trying to find peace and harmony in a convoluted way, and we all each very naively believe that our way is the right way. But of course we don't agree, because we all have very different experiences. But the Spirit does know where to find the harmony. So we need to always be asking for the reinterpretation. And we also need to talk openly about what's going on for us. And I find that when we talk to other people about what's going on, then it makes the other person's perspective more relatable, because you can see where they're coming from, rather than just assuming that someone's out to attack you. This card can also talk about the resistance that we feel as we level up. As we're pushing out of our comfort zone, we have to push that ceiling upwards, metaphorically. And there is always going to be discomfort, and we are going to have to go through a self-concept shift, which is not always comfortable. But when we come out the other side of it, we always feel good. So we've got the Two of Pentacles and the Six of Wands pop out. Two of Pentacles is a card about juggling opposing forces. So this is very much about Are we going to struggle or are we going to flow? Do we want chaos or peace, love or fear, truth or illusion? We have to be very adaptable and flexible on this path. You can see roughly in this card that there's the infinity sign as the lady juggles these two concepts, the light and the dark. Yeah, so we're just looking for harmony, and quite often we need to pray to the spirit to find out which decision that we need to make to balance. And quite often we just need to go into the stillness and the silence. The Six of Wands card is all about success and victory, which usually means that we've listened to the spirit and we've found this success after the struggle of the Five of Wands and trying to juggle many different things. When we listen to the spirit, we're always guided about what we need, what comes next. And I usually find that what the spirit wants for us is quite startling. It's not things that we would have any clue about ourselves. It's clever how it works. But it is nice to experience that victory and that recognition every time we have a small win on our spiritual journey, for sure. Especially when we can share it with friends, and especially when it means that we can see other people differently, because the more we heal, the easier it is to be closer to other people and to see the world as harmonious and to give back. As we can see from the lady in this card, it looks as though she's maybe giving a speech, like Marianne Williamson, inspiring others and giving the message about healing and hope and love. And it's nice to get to a stage where we can do that. The Nine of Wands is a card about having resilience and endurance. Whenever we expand, we can feel like we're walking through treacle. And yeah, we need to kind of stay in this faith and this trust that we're going in the right direction. In fact, quite often when it feels particularly tough, that's when we're doing our best work. But the ego will say that we're, that's when we're failing the most, because the ego is antithetical to the spirit and doesn't like us to heal. And with the star is all about having courage and hope and faith. This is a really sweet card where you can see that the person is kind of on their knees, just looking fairly relaxed, with holding this star attached to a rope, and metaphorically pulling the light and the goodness and the wisdom of heaven and the healing and the peace and everything down to the earth. And then the Four of Swords is all about resting, taking much needed time out, which we often need to do, like in the Hanged Man. In the Four of Swords, we need to rest and recuperate, because as we have the ego undone, we can feel really exhausted, because it's not our divine nature that we're going against, it's our false nature. But we can be so lost in the dream that it's hard work to pull ourselves out of it, or it certainly seems hard work when the ego is telling us it's hard work. From a spiritual perspective, it's not really anything, but we're so disconnected from that perspective that we really do need to rest and recuperate. And because the ego likes to flog us and guilt us and shame us, we have a tendency to always overwork and feel as if we need to prove our worth, which we never do. And the spirit is very good at telling us that we need to rest when we need to rest, without feeling guilty, because sometimes that is the most productive and loving thing that we can do. The Tower. So the Tower card is about unexpected change, sudden change. Now, from our ego perspective, we often think of sudden change as something horrendous. It doesn't need to be horrendous. It can be something amazing that just happens all of a sudden. It could be something that we've been working for a long time and feeling like we're never going to get there. And then often before something good happens, we get this final collapse of an old self-concept or an old structure. So it may be that we lose our job, or a relationship breaks down, or some other existential disaster seems to happen. But really it's just making space for the new. So I do quite like this card. It's like this little it's this squirrel's house that's been struck by lightning, but there's also these butterflies coming in as well, which are all about transformation. And the squirrel has these two big nuts sat next to him, which is just a beautiful symbol from the spirit to say, you know, you're being taken care of. Please don't worry. There's lots of magic and sparkle as well in this little card. It's very sweet. So yeah, these Tower moments are actually quite exciting, and when we look back we do really get to see that, but sometimes we need hindsight to see that. I like to think of hindsight as Christ vision or 2020 vision, where we get to see after the effect, after something seemingly bad has happened and we get the learning and the understanding, then we can see how actually the worst things that seem to happen to us in our life were actually the best things from a spiritual perspective, because they were kicking us out of our comfort zone and back to heaven. So yeah, the spiritual path is definitely not for the faint-hearted, but it's a fantastic process, and you do feel better and better, and you get more and more used to the ebb and flow and the confidence. So it's all good. It's definitely all good. Anyway, that was a sweet little reading today. I love these cards. They're very colourful. I hope you enjoyed it. Love you all. Bye.